Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on my channel we're all about real makeup for real life and real people. Today is a very exciting collaboration with my beautiful friend Paula here on YouTube. Her channel is called A Beauty Guru Made Me Do It, and if you're not following her already or subscribed to her, I hope you will. I think you will really like her channel. She does a variety of things, but she's also a rock star project panner, and I myself am just getting back into project panning this year. Paula was my very first collaboration here on YouTube, so she definitely holds a special place in my heart for that, but she's also just a really wonderful human being. So I hope after you watch this video, if you are new to Paula, you will go and check her out, subscribe, let her know I sent you. And if you're here from Paula's channel, welcome. I hope you will consider subscribing here before you leave today if you like what you see, and that will help you find my videos more easily on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday when I upload. Today we're going to be duping the vibes of the new ColourPop Wine Only palette. I asked Paula if she'd like to do this little mini project with me and look at our collections, see what we can find that kind of goes along with the vibes of this particular palette from ColourPop. I myself am very drawn to burgundy, so when I saw this palette, I thought, done deal. I'm definitely getting this palette. However, I first wanted to see just what is lurking in my collection in terms of tones that are similar to what ColourPop is offering in this palette. And I will say I was surprised that I didn't have more. So let's go ahead and get into it. I will say that I was supposed to film this look, and I was just chit-chatting away on the phone this morning, enjoying putting on my makeup, and completely forgot to record this eye look. But I will tell you at the end of the video how I created this look and give you some up-close pictures in natural lighting. So I did narrow down my list of swatches to about 7 palettes. There's a little more than 9 shades, and I don't have a shade for every shade in the ColourPop palette, but I'm going to show you what I came up with and how I created this look right now. So starting off, I did find 2 shades in this ColourPop Smitten in Switzerland palette. I decided that this shade Yodel and this shade Zurich were pretty close to some shades that I saw on the palette. I'm gonna have a picture of the palette up on the screen for you here, but I'm not gonna really go shade for shade. So these are these 2 shades, and they are a part of the eye look that I created today. And I just think that this matte right here is a nice winey tone, and also thought that this shade Zurich, it's a little bit of a duochrome, it has a little bit of a blue tint to it, but it's just really pretty, and I thought it was very reminiscent of one of the shades in the palette as well. And then I also pulled 2 shades from the Juvia's Place Saharan palette. I should have used this palette today. Well, I did for my inner corner, but that's not really much. But the 2 shades that I found in this palette that I felt like were reminiscent of the Wine Only palette was this one Zoya and this one Bororo. I don't know. I'll put the shade names down in the description box below, but there's kind of a little bit more of like a rosé colored shade in the palette, as well as like more of a white wine or a blush wine color at the very top of the ColourPop swatches. So I did feel like these were pretty close. And this is kind of how my little palette is shaping up here. And I really like that ColourPop included that kind of lighter shade in there, because with so many deeper wine tones, I feel like if I wanted to lighten up the look, I'm gonna need a little something to do that. And I think that this more peachy tone is a good one for that. And then, Paula, I wonder if you found this one in the Viseart Petite Pro 2 palette, this little guy right here, which happens to be Paula's palette of the year. No, Pan palette. I felt like the 7th shade in the palette, this one right here, was pretty reminiscent of that deep, plummy shimmer toward the bottom of the swatches from ColourPop. Right there, really nice, deep. One of the shades I wasn't able to find in my collection were like the deep mattes. I didn't really feel like I had anything that was quite purpley enough for down there. But this one I thought was a really good dupe. Coming from one of my favorite palettes, the Persona Identity 2 palette. It's this shade right here, which is called Empowered. A beautiful, what I would call like a raspberry shimmer. And I have this on a lot of my eyes, of my eye look. But I felt like this was a beautiful sort of wine shade, and definitely use that for a big part of my look today. Now, one shade that I was really keen to see if I had in my collection, I was pretty sure that I did, and I did have it a couple of times over, and that's that brilliant red metallic right in the middle of the swatches. And I actually did have a couple of options for that one, but I went with the best one, and it comes from the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega palette. Whoa, this thing is so hard to hold. It's this very first shade, and it's called Saturnalia right here. This is such a brilliant, shiny red metallic, and I am not much for red eyeshadow, like red eyeshadow, but that one is beautiful. The shine on that one is insane. Let me do a finger swatch so you can see. Just look at that. Oh, it's like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that actually really makes me want to do a look with just that shadow. And I think that would be super pretty for Valentine's Day, which is coming up, y'all. And then lastly, the deepest mattes that I could find in my collection that were burgundy, but more of that wine tone, not toward the bricky, more brownie side of burgundy. So coming from my ABH Norvina collection volume 1 is this shade down here in the corner called E5. Under the E5, had to make a bingo joke. This one is so pretty, and it's definitely deep. That was a terrible swatch. There we go. But those are so pigmented and just perfect for this color story, I feel like. I also felt like this one right here, which is C3, was also a good candidate for this palette. It's more of a pinky shade, but I also felt like it was a little bit similar to the pinky shade from the Juvia's Place Saharan palette, but I'll go ahead and swatch it down here for you because I only have one more shade after this. So that's a beautiful, beautiful shimmer, and I just really like how this looks. And then the last matte that I picked out comes from the Norvina Volume 3 palette, and it is this shade right here, which is C4. It is also a part of my look today, and I felt like this was the perfect deep, dark, rich sort of raspberry color to complement this palette and some of the pinker shimmers and things like that. I think it goes beautifully with this raspberry shade from Persona 2 as well. So let's talk about how I feel about the Wine Only palette now, having created my own little palette of swatches. You know, 7 palettes I don't think is too bad. I probably wouldn't have to reach into all 7. Well, I didn't have to reach into all 7 to create the look that I have today. I reached into 4 of the palettes. I don't know that this fits my craving for the Wine and Only palette. If I'm being honest, I feel like the Wine and Only palette in general seems a lot deeper than what I was able to accomplish with what I already have in my collection. Was I able to create a look that I think I could create something similar out of the Wine and Only palette today? Yes, I do think that that's true. But I do think some of the shades within that palette, it's harder to tell if they're matte or shimmer from the swatches that I was able to find. And I still find myself craving this like deeper wine shade in my collection, especially in terms of shimmers and things like that. So I did go ahead and order the Wine and Only palette. And I'm okay with that. I think that that actually is going to be fun. Let me know if you guys would like to see a comparison video, you know, based on what I created here versus what it actually looks like, or try to create a look, one on each eye, anything like that. If you're interested, let me know down below. But while I did find that I was able to dupe some vibes of the palette, I didn't feel like I was really able to capture the entire color story, especially when it came to the deeper, more rich, grapey purple shades towards the bottom of the swatches that I showed you. So I did go ahead and order the palette. I was ordering one for my daughter anyway. She, all of a sudden, you know how girls are, one girl has one and the other girl has to have it. And my daughter really wanted the Lilac You a Lot palette, so let me know if you want to see anything with that as well. And let's talk about the look that I created and how I put that together. So the first thing that I did was go in with this empowered shade all over the lid, the entire lid. Then I went into the BH Smitten in Switzerland palette, and I blended, yeah, that's a word, right? I blended out my shimmer that was all over my lid with the shade Yodel right here. After blending out the lid shade with Yodel, I came into this shade, which is C4 in the Norvina Volume 3 palette, and used that to deepen up the corners, and boy, did it ever deepen up the outer corner. Then I went in with the shade Zurich and put that over the center of the lid, really built that up, used a bit of setting spray for that one. Lastly, I went into the Juvia's Place Saharan palette and used this shade Zoya right here as my inner corner highlight. So that's how I created the look that I am wearing today, and I really like it. And I'm glad that I did this exercise and tried out a look using what I found, because now I am confident that when I get the Wine and Only palette, it will be different than what I have available to me. And like I said, I love burgundy. I love burgundy eyeshadow, I love burgundy eyeliner, I love burgundy mascara. You've seen all of those things on my channel over the years, and so I feel like the Wine and Only palette is going to be a nice addition to my collection. It is going to be my palette for February because it will be close enough to February by the time it arrives to me. So that will be the only palette that I purchase in February according to my sort of unofficial beauty budget and goals that I set for my channel this year, one of which being no more than one eyeshadow palette per month, no matter how much it costs. I do have a $50 beauty budget every month, so I would have money left to spend if I found something else that I wanted to pick up. But for February, the only palette that I purchase will be the Wine and Only palette. So again, let me know any content that you would like to see with that below. And thank you so much to Paula for this collaboration today. I'm glad that you were willing to go on this little ride with me and see about duping the vibes of the ColourPop Wine and Only palette. Again, if you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. It would mean a whole lot to me, and it helps me out here on the platform. And with all of that said, I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful burgundy makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon.